Today we're going to discuss about transformation in geometry. The first transformation that I'm going to discuss with you is the translation. The rule for translation is if you are horizontally sliding or shifting or translating, that you're going to either add or subtract to your x value. If you are vertically translating, then you're going to add or subtract on your y value depending on where you're going. For our first example, let us translate this figure horizontally 7 units to the right. So from here, we're going to count 7 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And your figure should land here. Now let us look at the coordinates of the translated figure. Notice that the rule says xy will change to x plus a, y plus b. Nothing has changed to y because we did not vertically translate your figure. We did the horizontal translation. So I want you to notice all the y values remain the same. 4, 4, 1, 1. That's supposed to be a 1 right there. Now, notice that for the x values, since we have translated 7 units to the right, we needed to add 7 to all the x values. So negative 5 plus 7 is a 2. Negative 2 plus 7 is a positive 5. Negative 5 plus 7 is a 2. Negative 1 plus 7 is a positive 6. Now let us try to translate this figure vertically. So from here, let us try vertically translating it 4 units down. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let us look at the new coordinates of our new image and see how the formula has helped us in getting those coordinates. So, since our translation was vertical, none of the x values have been changed. So I still have a negative 5, a negative 2, a negative 5, and a negative 1. Now watch and see what happened to the y value. Since we moved down, we have subtracted 4 from the original value. So 4 minus 4 is a 0. 4 minus 4 is a 0. 1 minus 4 is a negative 3. 1 minus 4 is a negative 3. Let us now discuss the next type of transformation, which is the reflection about the x-axis. Let us try a different strategy this time. Let us go ahead and identify our new coordinates given the rule. The rule for reflection about the x-axis is that xy will turn to x, comma, negative y. Therefore, all your x values are going to stay the same, but the y will become negative. So let us look at the first point. Negative 5, 4 is going to turn to negative 5, negative 4. Negative 2, 4 is going to turn to negative 2, negative 4. Negative 5, 1 will turn to negative 5, negative 1. Negative 1, 1 will turn to negative 1, negative 1. Now let us go ahead and try to graph this. And this is how the reflected image would look like. The next type of reflection is the reflection about the y-axis. Following this rule of xy will become negative x, comma, y. So let's examine the coordinates of the new points. So negative 5, 4 will turn to positive 5, 4. Negative 2, 4 will turn to positive 2, 4. Negative 5, 1 will turn to 5, 1. And negative 1, 1 will turn to positive 1, 1. Your new image would look like this based off of those vertices that are indicated here. The next type of reflection that we are going to do is the reflection about the y equals x line. Let us look at the rule in reflecting about the x equals y line. This is your x equals y line. The rule is xy will now turn to yx. So let's look at this one by one. So if your a is negative 5, 4, your a prime becomes 4, negative 5. You just flip them. If your b is negative 2, 4, your b prime is going to be 4, comma, negative 2. If your C is negative 5, 1, your C prime becomes 1, comma, negative 5. And if your D is negative 1, 1, your D prime becomes negative 1. Your D prime becomes 1, negative 1. Following the coordinates that we have identified, your new figure, which is the reflection about the x equals y line, is going to be this. Our next type and the last type of reflection that we're going to discuss is the reflection about the the y equals negative x line. Now we will have to do this one by one. So granted that this point right here is our A prime based off of our formula is going to go ahead and flip and the signs will change. So flip the 4 and negative 5, which we did, and then change the sign. So if we are going to plot these coordinates negative 4, 5, we will end up being here. So this is the location of our A prime, and this is our A. So for our next point B, which is negative 2, 4, following the formula, which is flip your x and y. So you're going to flip them, and you're going to change their sign. Therefore, the negative 4 now becomes your new x. Your 4 becomes a negative 4 and becomes your new x. Your old x, which is negative 2, becomes a positive 2, which is now your new y. So plotting our B and our B prime, so our B is negative 2, 4. Our B prime is negative 4, 2. Now please don't be confused on our next point, which is our C and our C prime, because they have exactly the same point, which makes sense because this lands on exactly the same spot. But let me explain. What really happened was you still follow the rule. You go ahead and switch your x and y and change their signs. Okay, so let's look at our D and our D prime. Our D is negative 5, 1. We need to flip them and change the sign. So I now have a negative 1, comma, positive 5, which is located up here. And so this is the location of your D prime, while this is your D.